Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you game 2 of a best of 3 between Karma and JKW in the quarterfinals of the Season 5 playoffs of the Steel Division 2 League. Today they are playing on Slutsk West, and on our left in the red team we have Karma playing with the 12th SS-Panzer and the Vanguard deployment type. And on our right in the blue team we have JKW using the 20th Panzergrenadier and the balanced deployment type. So we actually have an Axis versus Axis matchup, which is interesting. It's not something you see terribly often. Not sure if that was exactly meta in Season 5, but either way, here it is. And some really quite interesting divisions, like Karma with the 12th SS is something we saw in the previous game. I think it was a division that was seen quite highly by a lot of the top players in the end part of Season 5. So it's got those Panthers, of course. You've got the mechanized infantry in the form of Panzergrenadiers, and you've also got some pretty good artillery options in there as well, especially some really strong rocket artillery. On the side of JKW, the 20th Panzergrenadier is definitely something I don't think I've really casted in a competitive setting. But it's the division that comes with elephants. It's got the VulcanHDGaming, and it's also got the Tiger P Commander, which is really strong. So we'll see if any of those come out to play, but let's have a quick look at the deployments. So up on the top here, we've got Karma on our left. He's going to be using the Panzergrenadier to start with the 259, the Panzergrenadier. This is one thing that makes the Panzergrenadiers a bit better, actually, in the 12th SS, is that they are fanatical, so they don't surrender. The Aufklärer is there in the center just to cover off the middle with some recon. He's got the Beute Firefly. Very interesting to see that be used. That is a unit you do not see at all, because you only get one on a card. So the fact that he's brought that in is quite interesting indeed. He's got two Panzergrenadiers here, Panzer 4H, Pioneers and half-tracks, Panzerschreck, two 259s, and a mortar half-track. And then on the bottom, we've got the MG42, Pak 40, Aufklärer, Pioneers, 259, and the Panzergrenadier. So Karma making good use of the 20mm half-tracks here, and then supporting that with some medium armor in the form of those Panzer 4s. And the 12th SS can build quite a lot of medium armor if it wants to. Meanwhile, on the side of JKW, he's got a couple Panzerschrecks on the top side with an Ersatztruppen covered by a Jagdpanzer. Then there's going to be a elephant heading towards the center of the map. It's going to also help cover the top side, I assume, with the Aufklärer there to give it recon information. Further down, we've got another Jagdpanzer at the start with the Flammenwerfers moving into the town. That's going to be 3 Flammenwerfers, a Panzerschreck, an Aufklärer, and 2 Pioneers and Ersatztruppen heading in there. And on the bottom side, we see a Panzerschreck, Flammenwerfers again, and a Pak 40. So not really much line infantry for JKW. No amazing units on show here. Like Pioneers even are quite bad, honestly, against other units at range, because they only have one machine gun. They've got to really rely on that HE grenade to get some work done. Looks like the smoke's coming in there from Karma. That's going to benefit both players. Stop either from being shot by the other. Flammenwerfer might get the better of the Panzerschreck early on there, but the Panzergrenadiers rip through one of the Flammenwerfer squads, and the Panzerschreck gets away. MG42 going to be able to stop these Flammenwerfers in the open, and if they don't smoke themselves off, they're going to die very quickly. And he gets the smoke out. One of them is down to one man. He's going to smoke his way all the way into cover. The Pak 40 now also under fire. Going to be left out in the open by the MG42. So the 259s have pushed forwards aggressively here, cleaning out the rest of the Flammenwerfer in the town. The Pioneers are now going to be the ones in the way to deal with this. Panzerschreck needs to stay alive. Karma's pretty much suiciding this on purpose to see what's there. So he's figured out that there's a Panzerschreck. The Pak 40 did die to the MG42 as it got unloaded in the open. Now Karma's coming in with a bombing strike to try and take care of the Panzerschreck. JKW is going to try and retreat, but the 500 kilogram bomb is going to get the kill regardless. And this is a strong push coming through here. The 259 can now move up aggressively. Karma's assuming that he took out the Panzerschreck there. And even if he didn't, losing just one of these autocannon cars isn't a big deal. Pioneer does manage to pop it with a grenade. That Pioneer is all that's in the way of Karma breaking through that town completely. Smoke still coming down from Karma, completely neutralizing the use of the Jagdpanzer. And this is one problem that you do find a lot in 1v1. Karma pointing out the fact that JKW's brought in an elephant, which is a very rare sight in 1v1. But yeah, this is the problem with using long-range stuff in 1v1s, is that you can be smoked off quite a lot. Like, smoke micro's quite something that is prevalent in 1v1s, and therefore, you know, something like a Jagdpanzer that relies on its range to get decent damage in is going to be overpowered by things like Panzer IVs when you get close. But yeah, it's interesting to see this Boys Firefly be used. Managed to take care of the IG-18 on the bottom side. Got Panzergrenadiers now coming in. I feel like there should have been at least some Panzergrenadiers in his initial deployment, but he's using Panzergrenadiers with DPs here, which is, again, not really ideal. The Boys Firefly does take a penetrating shot from the Jagdpanzer, and the Firefly bounces, so the Firefly's probably going to go down. Yep, that's why people don't take the Firefly. The Elephant here did get strafed by these two Focke-Wulf 190 A8s. There is now an 88 on the field, though, to cover it. No Flakpanzer in sight. One thing that I would definitely expect to see at the start of the game is, in fact, a Flampanzer, because these 88s just aren't really very good for dealing with fighters. Like, the fighters are too fast, basically, for the 88 to deal with them. So he's already dealt with the AA, but like a Flakpanzer Panther would have annihilated these Focke-Wulfs and also completely covered the Elephant from being strafed there. The Elephant's just trying to get into a position to help cover the town now instead. But basically what's going to keep happening is, as long as Karma has smoke, he's just going to keep using smoke to cover off the Jagdpanzer and Elephant from being effective, whilst his infantry continues to push forwards with the Panzer IVs in tow. And another Panzer IV coming up there to back it up. He's got Pak 40 coming in as well. Another Panzerschreck, Pak 40 moving into the bottom side as well to solidify his position down here. He's already at a 15-9. The Elephant struggling to get up that hill. If it gets forced to fall back, I reckon Karma's probably going to go for the kill there with the Panzer IV. He's moving that up. The Elephant's not going to know what to do. It might get into the light cover just in time. We'll have to see. Karma's loving life with his lol pings, that's for sure. A little disrespectful in my opinion, but there we go. Gonna be going for the kill now onto the Elephant. The Elephant, if it manages to turn front armor, will bounce a lot of shots from the Panzer IV, so it might still survive regardless. But yeah, these Elephants aren't too great for this kind of thing. Does take a side shot there. Or the Panzer IV get aggressive. It can't really do so because the Jagdpanzer are still covering that angle. Two Stug 4s have now come in. Oh, there's no smoke on the road. There goes the mortar half track. The Pak 40 is going to have to unload here ASAP. Looks like one smoke did come down just in time there to stop more damage being done. As that smoke clears, the Pak 40 might have a good shot here onto some of these tanks. But the Focke-Wulf's still strafing this. I don't know if Karma's just trying to keep it pinned or is actually trying to kill it. It's hard to tell. Like, fighters very rarely kill things like that these days. Like, something has to be extremely damaged for that to work, but really nice unload there with the Panzerschreck. Using the smoke to get close to the Stug. And manages to pick up that kill. Stug's backing off immediately. Don't want to get taken out again by another Panzerschreck there. The Focke-Wulf 190 actually fails to kill the Elephant. There is now the Flakpanzer Panther on the field. Now these Flakpanzer Panthers, they are quite expensive, 140 points. You can also get the T-34 version with the flak-filling on the back as well. But I think they're quite important early on because not only can you utilize them as anti-air, you can also utilize them as anti-ground. So you can annihilate big squads of infantry very quickly using a flak filling, and the fact that it's on an armoured hull means that the infantry can't fire back, and also a lot of tanks won't be able to penetrate you, especially at range. Now of course the smoke in this case would have still made things difficult, So in what you'd probably want to see from JKW to kind of counter the smoke plays that Karma's making is some artillery himself. If he sees the smoke come down, he can preemptively mortar where that smoke's going to cover and therefore pin the units as they move forwards and then make a counterplay. But in this case, we don't see any artillery. A lot of JKW's units are quite expensive, and that is causing him a lot of problems here. And it's one reason that you probably don't see the 20th Panzergrenadier in competitive play very often at all. Like, the 20th Panzergrenadier is very strong in like 3v3, 4v4, 10v10 because you have plenty of time to back up your more expensive units. But in a 1v1 setting where things are much more fast and furious, you are going to get pushed on very, very quickly. Stug 4 goes down there. Armor's getting the kills in. Panzergrenadiers on the road. MG42 is also being pinned down. 251 cleans up the MG down here. Pioneers moving in to secure that. Couple Panzergrenadiers in cover right now. Just probably going to be able to cover a little bit against the Panzergrenadiers, but that's going to be DPs versus MG42s. That's not really a nice matchup. So from the start here, JKW just in a pretty bad position. Brought in units without really much to back them up. He's now using the Flak Panzer Panther to finish off these infantry squads, which is definitely something you should be using the Flak Panzer Panther for. But he's just going to keep bringing up units right now, and they just keep getting picked off. And he's managed to cut off these units on the bottom side. So those Panzergrenadiers now no longer affecting the front line. The Stug 4 will be able to move up quite aggressively here, but it's not currently engaged in the 259. I assume that it's because he can't see it. The 259 is technically in light cover, and the Stug 4 has no recon, so he can't actually see that anymore. You got the low optics here on the Stug 4. So Panzer 4 might get popped by the Elephant here. This would be the first kill for the Elephant. See if he can get the shot off. Yep, Panzer 4 goes down. That's not so bad. 259 now pushing through on the top side. The Elephant was up there previously to stop pushes like this from coming through. But with no longer there being any cover on that top side, looks like Karma's going to look to exploit that as well. Has brought in a bunch of tanks here. The Panther D, the Panzer 4's another mortar carrier. Going to smoke off the MG42 so that he can move forwards his own infantry without them being unloaded. Pioneer actually not lasting too well against these Ersatztruppen. Again, Pioneers don't do great against medium range engagements because they only have the 7 rifles and MG34. Focke-Wulf 190 though, cleaning up that MG42. ME109 G6U4 coming in to try and help shoot that down. The U4 does have a 30mm cannon, so it can do a lot of damage, but looks like Karma's managed to get on the back of it there with some handy micro. ME109 might still get away with that because the Focke-Wulf bomber is pretty slow. We're now coming in with the shots onto the Focke-Wulf. Will he manage to get it? Oh, he's probably just out of range, and the Focke-Wulf's just keeping him away. That is really unfortunate. That's going to go, and then the Focke-Wulf's probably going to catch him on the turn. It's unfortunate. So Panther D just zooming forwards here. It's actually going to get caught by this Panzerschreck. That Panther D goes down. Looks like the ME109 managed to pull away. What's going back in? Well, nearly. It's an interesting dogfight there. Ju-87 coming down onto the Panzer 4. Is this Panzer 4 damaged? I think it is. So it's probably going to die. Yep, and a lovely bombing strike does also kill the Panzerschreck there. The ME109 did go down. Flak Panzer Panther fails to return the kill. Jagdpanzer is in trouble up here. It's being pinned quite heavily by the Panzer 4Js, but can maintain that engagement. The Panzer 4J is pretty good against sort of medium armor at range, but we're now looking at a 19-5 in terms of flags. And whilst Karma's not really making any more ground now, he has kind of been punished for his own over-pushing, like overzealous pushing in this game. It doesn't really matter because he's so far ahead and he's got a massive positional advantage in the game. Like, utilizing the smoke early on has really paid dividends and allowed him to move up very far into the face of JKW whilst he wasn't really supporting his units properly. The Pak 40 probably going to pick up the Stug 4 kill. That's going to go down. So it removes that armoured support from the Ersatztruppen. The Panzergrenadiers here going to be trying to move in to reply, but look at the damage that the Panzergrenadiers with MG42s do against the Panzergrenadiers with DPs. Absolutely slicing them up in the open. They're also out of cover now, so the Panzergrenadiers doing extra damage because of that. It's probably going to be able to 1v2 those Panzergrens. We see the Ju-87 coming in for the kill onto the Pak 40. Meanwhile, the Panzer IV is going to be unloading the Ersatztruppen. 5 minutes left on the clock. Ju-87 gets the job done. This isn't looking as bad as it was for JKW. If he can take back like maybe 1 or 2 more flags, get a decent position in this game again, he might not end up too bad. Like, if he can focus on controlling the open ground with like another elephant at some point, then maybe it would work, but I feel like Karma's gonna have ways to deal with the elephant. For example, the Werframmen. Like the 12th SS does have these 280mm Werframmens, and I expect that is aiming straight for the elephant. And that elephant is damaged due to its earlier side shot from the Panzer IV, so only 1 rocket was probably needed to take that out. Flak Panzer Panther, oh, might kill this Focke-Wulf if it's diving in like that. Nope. Actually ends up getting pinned down, and oh, the rocket strikes perfect. The Flak Panzer Panther and the elephant both go down, and well, what I was saying about JKW looking a little bit better in position is no longer the case. With those big units out the way, that opens up a lot of room for maneuver for these Panzer IVs. Pak 40 will still need to be taken care of, but that is a huge play there at the end just to seal the deal in this game. And there's a 88 up on this hill that hasn't been unloaded just yet. The Focke-Wulf 190s, I'm not sure what they were trying to bomb. It looked like they were going to go for the Jagdpanzer, but maybe Karma cancelled his command and that made them both end up having to fall back. But here come the Focke-Wulf 190s again with the strafing runs. Going to be pinning that down. He'd probably bomb that if he still had the bombers out and about, but they've already been forced back. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a pretty quickly wrapped up game here, especially as JKW surrenders. 15 minutes, 9 seconds. Karma really shows dominance in that game. A little bit of disrespect there, unfortunately, but, you know, he still played really well. 1,515 kills to 1,050 losses. Not bad at all. I would just say well played by Karma there. Used the smoke to his advantage. I think the choice of the 20th Panzergrenadier was kind of an interesting one. It wasn't ideal at all for 1v1, and I'm not sure even JKW knew what to bring in a 1v1 from that deck. And like at the start, I think I'd rather see multiple Stug 4s rather than Jagdpanzers and elephants. Like, Jagdpanzers can be okay. They are decent value for money on this patch, but they are so vulnerable to being like side shot and just overrun by things that get close to them. And Stug 4s, like, they're in the same boat, but at least they don't cost you as many points. So yeah, I think maybe investing more into like Stug 4s and then backing up with maybe some artillery early on would have been a better choice, so that he could counter the smoke pushes that Karma was making. The initial push with like the Flammenwerfers as well was a bit questionable. The use of Panzergrenadier DP instead of normal Panzergrens, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I think JKW just kind of dropped the ball completely there with the choice of the 20th Panzergren, but he managed to get 1,500 kills, which is not too bad. But yeah, lost pretty quickly in the 1v1, which is to be expected in that kind of matchup. So they're pretty simple game. That's it. I'm just going to leave it there. Next up, we'll have Nilla versus Pixie in the second quarterfinal. So look forward to that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.